The New York Yankees have a golden opportunity to make one of the best bullpens in the MLB, as reports are indicating that the team has interest and has been very aggressive in free agency meetings in regards to relief pitchers. And we are going to break this all down. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Yankees Digest. It's Chris here. And guys, real quick before we jump into the video, we did notice that only 20% of viewers are subscribed, and we want to get those numbers up. So, guys, make sure to subscribe to Yankees Digest. It helps us out a lot, but let's talk some baseball. Here's the deal, guys. The New York Yankees, they have a few different free agent relief pitchers, and it's become evidently clear that the New York Yankees are very interested in having an elite bullpen this season. As Jon Morosi mentioned, the Yankees are one of the most aggressive teams in speaking with reps for free agent relievers in the GM meetings. One reason is because 3 members of the World Series bullpen in Klay Holmes, Tommy Kahnle, and Tim Hill are free agents. Now, the Yankees, as we know, they used Tim Hill a lot when they were in the playoffs. He was really one of their very few left-handed guys they even had on the playoff roster. So Hill got usage a lot. I mean, he played in so many games for them. I want to say he played the most games of any pitcher in their bullpen. If not, he was right up there at the top. Klay Holmes has obviously fallen off a cliff, as you can see right there. We know he's fallen off a cliff, but there's been times where the man's looked good as a setup guy, especially. But even at the beginning of the season last year as a closing pitcher, he looked really good. It took forever for him to give him a run. Holmes looked good. Here's the thing, guys. The Yankees have to go out there and they have to solidify a bullpen that's not only potentially losing a few arms, but already it's not like they were the best bullpen in the league or anything, and the Yankees are known for usually having a good bullpen. So the fact that they didn't definitely makes you wonder, are they going to try to get back to that? Now, there's a bunch of different options the Yankees could go out there and look for. And look, I mean, it's the Yankees. They're going to shoot for the best guys first. It's how, well, really all baseball teams are in free agency, as long as you can afford someone. But the Yankees are going to go out there, and they're going to try to make the best bullpen possible. And if you do that, obviously the number one guy in all of this is Tanner Scott. So obviously if the Yankees were to go out there, he would be the guy who you go for. Now, he played 72 games and pitched 72 innings. The guy is a closer. He only allowed 3 home runs in those 72 games, got 84 strikeouts, 45 hits allowed. His hits per 9 inning were 5.6, an ERA of 1.75. The whip was a little higher than league average or than what you'd like, but it still wasn't bad at all. And, I mean, Tanner Scott just looked phenomenal all season. He started out not on the Padres, but, you know, at the deadline when the Miami Marlins don't really have much going for them, the Padres were able to really capitalize, and Tanner Scott was selected to his first All-Star game, so he's someone who could easily put up great numbers. Whether he was with the Marlins, he was doing great, and that's why the Padres gave up a good amount for him. I mean, 92nd percentile in the whiff rate also. Look, guys, here's the deal. I know that every other MLB team feels this way, but I would love if the Yankees could sign Tanner Scott, man. I mean, look, undeniably, he is the best free agent in all of relief pitchers. Like, it's not really a debate. It's hard to even say who's second. Not him, though. It's not him. But it's hard to say who's behind him. The number one thing that we all know is that Tanner Scott is the best relief pitcher on the market. He is a closer. He is someone who you have to imagine most teams are going to go for, especially with him being just by miles and miles the best left-handed relief pitcher out there, which adds value to him. So look, obviously the Yankees don't want to pay a ton of money because they do want to retain Juan Soto, who's going to cost record-breaking money. So they might be a little strapped in other areas, but you do know they are going to sign some relief pitchers. Tanner Scott could be certainly a stretch for them because of this, but at the same time, I mean, the Yankees love having good closers. They always do. They always want to have one of the best closers in the MLB. That never changes with them. And getting Tanner Scott does certainly do that for the New York Yankees. Now, there are other guys to take a look at. You have to mention them because you know with him being on the Yankees, there's a world where Klay Holmes comes back, but it's a big question. Would he even get that 9th inning spot? I mean, Cousins has looked good. There's no real reason to there's no real reason to have Klay Holmes close the game. I'm fine with bringing him back as an 8th inning guy. He looked good in that 8th inning role. He certainly, looked more comfortable when the game wasn't completely on the line. It's not like he was perfect, but he definitely was better in that 8th inning. We saw that towards the end of the regular season. We saw it in the playoffs that he still couldn't close a game in there, but he could, in 8th innings, he could get a quick 3 outs. I'm not as against the Yankees bringing back Klay Holmes as most people are, if it's with the caveat that he's no longer the closer of this team. I think he's an awesome 8th inning guy, and I could honestly see a team like the Royals paying for him and him leaving the Yankees, and honestly, I wouldn't really mind anyway. You could always just re-sign Tommy Kahnle, who looked great also. I kind of hope the Yankees re-sign Kahnle because he's going to be not that expensive as far as relievers go. Now, let's just take a look, though, at Klay Holmes' numbers because, look, in 67 games that he pitched, he had a negative win-loss record like, most guys out there who were closing pitchers for most of the year. Only allowed 4 home runs and got 68 strikeouts and allowed 60 hits. His whip was not good, and frankly, at the beginning of the year, he looked like the best closer in baseball. There's a reason why he was an all-star this season after all, and Klay Holmes is someone who, frankly, is just good when he's not closing games. And if he stops closing games, those numbers will be looking a lot better. He'll certainly not be in the 3s for his ERA as a closing pitcher or as a 1-inning pitcher in general. As I said, if he's an 8th inning guy, I'm not against bringing him in. There's just other options out there, like a Tommy Kahnle, who probably will cost less and have a little bit less of a market because he wasn't an all-star this season. Now, you have other names such as Jeff Hoffman, who you could bring in, who looked real good with a 2.17 ERA. He's the only guy on this list who had a whip under 1. And 68 games, 66 innings pitched, not a lot of home runs allowed, got a lot of strikeouts, only allowed 48 hits. Hoffman looks like he's on the brink of becoming a closing pitcher. This would be the offseason that I would imagine that Hoffman would become a closing pitcher. And frankly, another guy who would just be super nice to have because he's elite. There's always that fear of someone like Hoffman getting a lot of money from a team that truly believes in him to become a closer. And if he does that, I really don't see the Yankees going out there and trying to outbid for a closer after the way this season ended. It just doesn't feel like that's realistic. They'd probably go for just cheaper relief pitchers in general, but it's fun to talk about a guy like Hoffman who was an all-star this season, was great with Jose Alvarado. He's someone who would certainly be nice to have, and there will definitely be some teams that are going to offer him a lot of money, and I frankly just don't think the Yankees are. Now, one more guy we have to mention just because, well, despite the fact that I don't love the 2 teams that he's played for recently, Kenley Jansen's just aging pretty solidly, honestly. It's almost a guarantee that Jansen's going to go back to the Los Angeles Dodgers, so you can't really do much about that, but Jansen is someone who has been bouncing around recently, so you literally never know with relief pitchers. It's always kind of impossible to tell, but I think everyone has their money on Jansen returning to LA with the Dodgers, and frankly, seeing him play on the Red Sox and the Dodgers, I don't really want to see him play on the Yankees, especially if he had to shave his beard. That would just be very weird for all of us, so I don't think they'd go after Jansen, honestly. But what's true is the Yankees do need to get closing pitching options. It's not really a debate. It's something they have to do. They have to make sure they have a solid guy who they know can last them through an entire season because they don't have that on the roster as of right now. They maybe will at some point, but it's as you look at the roster right now, is there really anyone who you're fully comfortable with saying, yes, this guy can be a closer for the entire year? I would like the Yankees to spend a little bit of money to go out there and get a very good closing pitcher, but it just feels unlikely, especially with all the Juan Soto stuff. However, guys, you let me know down below what you think. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Yankees.